A new beginning, and with each new life is born joy, hope, and expectation. But sometimes joy is tinged with concern and apprehension, and hope goes no further than the end of the day. Little Jonah Reimer spent the first days of his life in an incubator. For him and his parents, Pearl and Ron, it was just the beginning of a long road full of obstacles along the way.
Jonah was born 12 weeks premature. He was born about 4 pounds and went down to 3. He had lung disease, which basically he had to go into an incubator. He had to breathe on a respirator for a while. And it was touch and go as far as whether he was going to live or not. It was tough on Pearl because the baby, he was taken away from her immediately, taken away the moment he came out and was put into an incubator.
And what ended up happening for many years, I think as a result of the premature status, was a lot of respiratory problems. He had bad asthma, constant chest infections, ear infections.
He had some kidney problems. He had a urinary condition, which we found out about later on, which in fact he almost died from. He had club feet, so in fact the first day of his birth, he had to have little casts put on his legs.
He was using inhalers, or when he was much younger, he would have liquid Ventolin, whatever form the medication came in. He was using the cortisone nose sprays. Never slept through the night, ever. Never, till later on.
As the respiratory problems he had as a baby turned into asthma and allergies, they affected not only Jonah's health, but the day-to-day life of his family.
If anybody walked in my house, you had to wash your hands. You know, the minute you walked in the house. We could never use our fireplace. We couldn't use the fireplace because as soon as you lit a fire, you know, he'd go off with an asthma attack.
We had to change his casts every few weeks, take them off, and then he'd get new ones put on. So it was a lot of work in terms of his physical and his respiratory health altogether.
It wasn't only Jonah's physical health that worried Pearl and Ron Reimer. Being sick was becoming second nature to their son.
And he used to see himself as a sick person. If he would cut himself and there would be blood or anything, he'd be hysterical. Do I have to go to the hospital? Do you have to take me to the hospital? Don't take me to the hospital.
I used to feel just bad, like I couldn't do all the things that everyone else could do, because just say when I was like running or something, I would start coughing, and if I had to stop, I would have allergies that would make me feel very bad.
When his brother was born, he used to say, you know, why is it that he never gets sick? Why am I always the one who's sick? You know, why does he never have to go to the doctor? Why do I always have to go to the doctor?
These are questions that any parent would have difficulty answering. Even more difficult for Pearl and Ron was coming to terms with what effect years of medication might have on their son.
The results of some study came out with seniors that had been on the medication that Jonah was on, the steroid inhaler, saying that the incidence of, I think it was glaucoma, was much higher amongst the seniors who'd been using the steroid inhalants for a period of time. And I thought, well, if it's doing that to seniors, what is it doing to a growing, developing body?
Plus, he was getting sick really very, very often. I mean, almost every few weeks as a baby, he was on antibiotics. He was just sick all the time. He caught every kind of infection. So we were keen on trying to find out ways to build up his immunities and get him strong.
One possible answer came from Pearl's mother after she saw a television program about a physician doing work in environmental illness. Pearl called his office right away.
I couldn't get in without waiting for 6 months, so I phoned my pediatrician and I said, I'm not going through another winter with this child, sick the way he is, and the pediatrician was able to get me an appointment. He walked in the room and he looked at Jonah and he said to me, this boy is on steroids, isn't he? And he was on prednisone and inhalers, and I said, yeah, and he could tell because his little face was blown up and his eyes were very black. And we were in there for a long time. He took a complete history.
Despite the obvious effects of the medication, Pearl and Ron were advised not to take Jonah off his inhaler immediately.
And that he didn't want me just to cold turkey him and walk out of there thinking, okay, you know, a week or two he'd be fine. He explained how it's going to be a process.
The process that was suggested was a long-term one, designed to go to the source of Jonah's allergies.
Which included taking drops of different things, everything from tree bark, different pollens that he might be related to, and it was put into a special solution which Jonah would take on a regular basis.
So they make up a solution for the indoor things he's allergic to. He's allergic to dust and molds and cats and dogs and a whole list of things. Then they make up a solution for the outdoor things.
The treatment also involved a change in Jonah's environment, both internal and external, eliminating anything in his diet and in the world around him that would cause his allergies to flare.
We got rid of all of our rugs, all of our carpets.
We took down all the Venetian blinds because they're dust collectors, and the window dressings that I have in their rooms are things that you can wipe down with a cloth or vacuum with a vacuum cleaner very easily. I don't use any spray polishes that have, you know, any cleansers, anything like that. I use, you know, vinegar and water and lemon juice, that kind of stuff.
It doesn't sound easy, does it? But gradually, the changes the Reimers were making began to take effect on Jonah.
And we started to see some very amazing results in terms of his asthma and his allergies to things, which hadn't been affected in such a positive way before. He's doing fantastic. His health is incredible. I mean, he's come a long, long, long way. From seeing him as a very small infant to today, he's 13, you wouldn't know, in fact, that he had so many of these problems.
I can do everything everybody else can do. Snowboarding, baseball, football, just playing around football, hockey, actually skating I like a lot too.
Seeing their son happy and healthy is Ron and Pearl Reimer's greatest reward. But what they've learned along the way has certainly been a bonus.
Most people tend to go to alternatives when they've totally exhausted whatever they can find in Western medicine. I don't think people should think of alternatives that way. I think they should think of what can we do right from the beginning? What can we find, both what we call, you know, traditional for our kind of medicine and alternatives, and blend the two right from day one. And I think people would find more success if they did that instead of waiting until there was absolutely no other option.